Welcome to Red Pill Diaries. It's hot as hell, man. Walking around the mall today with my girlfriend. Not really the mall. We're walking to a supermarket where it had an entrance blocked, so we had to walk to the mall to get to it. I'm looking around and I see people. Everyone's got the mask down with their nose, or some are off, just like the politicians, all with the mask off. No one really believes this. That's what I said to Anita. No one believes this. Look at it. So I start putting it down in my chin. I just start walking around. No one says anything. I think we're probably nearing the 99 percentile of society that just do not believe this. But because, let's say, 50% were fooled enough to act as system defenders, people are still scared that that's the amount that are out there, and it's not. It's more like one or less. I'd say even less than 1% really believe this. When I say really believe, I'm talking about even if you're a total system slave Gwendolyn moron who has bought the narrative of the global system hook, line, and sinker, and really believe that this is going to make any fucking difference in the long run. That's lockdowns and all this sort of stuff. Well, it will make a difference. It's going to make everyone poorer. You've already seen it. It's made Jeff Bezos billions richer, and it's made all the billionaires richer. It's made people in general poorer. It was a wealth transfer. It still is going on. They're wrapping up now. They think they've made their wealth transfer. Should we just leave the rest till next time? Well, we did have to wait longer than usual. I mean, we had to wait 12 years. We don't have to wait, or actually 13 years. The elite aren't used to waiting that long for the next wealth transfer, so they want to make it a big one this time. So because it was long overdue, you see. So that's why we still got the property crash to come. There still is a bit more to come for this. The people will get fleeced a lot more than they have been already. But the reality is, no one believes this bullshit. Most of all, the people creating the rules, because we've already seen the G7 summit. Look at them all for the cameras, but also for the cameras, shaking hand, being around each other. What's the point? If you're gonna sit there and cover up like this, and then you get next to the crowd of people, and you pull your fanny out, or you show people a brown eye. What's the point of covering up when you come out the pool? And this is what they're doing. It's like it's beyond the joke. It's not like, oh, we got caught out. They haven't even been caught out. It's just there's just, as I said in that video a couple of years ago, it's got to the stage where the ruling elite of the world have so much contempt for us that they can't even be bothered to lie anymore. They can't even, I mean, look at the situations all around the world, with governments all around the world being hypocrites. Not just about the lockdown, which I say about the lockdown all the time, by the way. It'd be one thing, as I said to my friend the other day, it'd be one thing if you give 10 people a mathematical equation and they all come back with the same answer. That's plausible. You know why? Because maybe they were all smart enough to get it right. But if you give 10 people the same equation and they all come back with the exact same wrong answer, something's wrong in their mark, isn't it? Because how could that possibly happen? To have the same, well, oh God, there's a scenario that can happen if it's a trick question, of course, where you're led to believe the obvious answer is this when it actually is something else, because it's a kind of trick maths question. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I'm talking about, let's say, for example, I say, what's the capital of China? All right? And then I say the answer is Colombo. And everyone says the answer is Colombo. That's what I'm talking about. You cannot have that scenario. And what we did is with the exception of a few countries like Sweden, we had every country, Iran, the enemy, the friend countries, which why I don't believe that any of them are enemies. I believe that they are our enemies collectively, but I do not believe that any governments are enemies of each other. I think that it could have possibly happened before there was globalism, but now that you have globalism, they're just different power-sharing entities of the world. That's all they are. The only thing that there is any risk of happening is that one regional power-sharing entity wants control of a neighboring or another power-sharing entity in another place. So, for example, I don't know, America taking over Hawaii years ago, or something like that, or Puerto Rico. Okay, but other than that, there's no difference. The system doesn't believe any of this stuff. No one's walking around you believes it. You might get one in a hunt, but you know what? I'd say for the sake of it now, this is why Anita just took her mask off and said, fuck this shit. I had mine just around here. Again, I just can't be arsed. It's not my country. But if it was, I'd be a bit more brazen about it. But yeah, I just have it around here. I'm not going to pull it up. I'm not going to walk around in this stifling heat with this fucking face mask blocking my airways, because that's a bigger health risk than the virus with a 99.99% recovery rate. Actually, for people like myself at my age, probably even higher than that. Probably 4, 5, 6 nines after the decimal. So yeah, especially a virus where it seems like from what we can see, from what we can actually see lots of evidence of, that YouTube summarily destroys, destruction of evidence, which when they delete stuff off the platform. We can see that the vaccines, especially the Russian and Chinese ones, look pretty bad. The efficacy rate's really low. But hey, the rate's really low with all the vaccines as far as being any good. Hey, I'm just going by what's said. I personally don't believe anything about these. I think they were produced far too quickly. I think they're completely dodgy. I think there's something nefarious going on. And even if that nefarious thing is just to raise money, but I think it's more than that. But hey, I'm just speculating. I'm allowed to do that. But the system doesn't. It's people of the system don't believe it. This is why at the start of the pandemic, we actually saw people getting injected, and they were fake getting injected because they want you to do it. They don't want to do it themselves. It's that, again, that I said in the previous videos, hypocrisy is the tell of evil. So anyway, I'm watching this thing. I was talking about. It was just something I was thinking about doing a video about losing my mind, making you go forward, breaking on through to the other side of the lyrics from what do you call it, the Doors. And it was just so strange. I sat down like, Lauren Southern's got one called Losing My Mind. And it's like, how weird. I was just thinking those very words in the kitchen when I was cooking something. So anyway, I started watching the show, and she's talking about the same things I am, about the fact that no one really believes this, but we're all jumping through these hoops, this bureaucracy. And she mentioned a thing here called behavioral bilingualism, which is why people like North Korea, for example, she didn't use that example, but this is what I think she's getting at, or the person who made up that term was getting at, where people are walking around because they know that there's too many plants, there's too many avosh, they would say, in Hungary of old, the last, let's say, 50, 60 years ago, where the people would basically narc on each other on behalf of the system. So everyone's scared to speak their mind, so they have this dual lingo, where they're talking one way outside, they're talking one way to their family inside. They don't believe the bullshit they're saying, but they're talking. It's like when they go outside, there's an act. So it's quite funny to stumble upon that one, because this is exactly what I'm seeing right now. No one believes it. Or else I wouldn't be looking in the shop and seeing a guy talking to his friend with the mask down here. He doesn't believe it. His friend doesn't believe it. Or the customer who he's talking to. And I was just walking through this mall to get to this shop, Spar, before, and that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing everyone, oh God, two women talking, they start pulling the masks up. Don't do it for us. So I pulled mine down on purpose. I walk around the corner and see these two women, so cool, they pull it down as well. It's like, yeah, thank God we're human beings, yeah. Because we know it's not normal what's going on here. We know it's not normal that, it's not just that. It's not just not normal. It's extremely nefarious that YouTube and Facebook and all these companies that have been caught red-handed censoring information which was true last year and pushing information which was false. They have now no credibility. As organizations, they have none. Like zero, negative. You've got a negative critic. When someone is a liar, you get a liar every day, and then it's like, okay, what did that person tell you before? Oh, they told me that some guy's going to come and break into our house soon. Well, we can't believe him because he's a lying piece of shit. That's YouTube and Facebook and Google and all these, because they've got a long track record of it. So what we're meant to do, not go by the trends. Like, they feed us trend analysis. Well, the trend is they're a bunch of fucking liars. The trend is they censor information if it's true, or if it's likely true, or if it's a theory that should be investigated and discussed further. They suppress that information. That's the track record these organizations have. They cannot be trusted. And the track record of all of our governments synonymously have around the world is that they are absolute hypocrites, they are absolute narcissists, and when a bunch of narcissists seem to get together, they have all created narcissistic um, paradigms. Those narcissistic paradigms, what does a narcissist want? They want war. They want arguments. What do our governments want? They want war all the time. What do we want? We don't want war. Why? We're the ones probably going to put unless you're an idiot who's swallowing mainstream media, you don't want war. Because it's unnatural to want war for the sake of war, unless you're some testosterone junkie or whatever it is, roid rage freak. But generally, people don't want war. It just doesn't make sense. In nature, animals don't want war generally because if they get damaged, it's like, well, they know that that could cost their life or make them not as attractive as a mate or whatever it might be, So it's only these fucking freaks. And what's happened to us is we don't want war so much that we're not even willing to not put the mask over our face for fear of offending the 1% of Karens that might still exist out there. And even when it gets to the stage where no Karens exist anymore, because we're at a North Korea state where everyone's just speaking this Duolingo way, at that stage, we're just going to be so used to being compliant, we'll carry on being compliant. And that is why I've got to start pulling my mask down all the time, or actually just taking it off like Anita did and just don't fucking wear it. Because no one believes this shit. As I say, most of all the people telling us to wear them from the day one, Fauci lying about it, flip-flopping about it, all of them in Congress in America, all of them, it doesn't matter who it is, none of them believe it because they're not. As soon as the cameras turn all the way through the pandemic, from the start to finish, they've been caught out. And the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, the Hillary Clintons of the world, going to the fucking salons, whatever it is, they've all been caught out being hypocrites. They don't believe it. Neither should we. And well, neither am I going to. I'm not going to tell you what to think. But, I never have believed it's any point because I've always believed in my immune system. It's because it's been there my whole 44 years of life. It's been there. It's still around. I know that I'm fighting microbial life all the time. So I know without it, I'd have to be a boy in a bubble. So it must be working. So fuck off, system. It's your bullshit. That's it, really. I'm not going to thrash this dead horse. But anyway, what was the thing she was saying again? Yeah, I mentioned it, what's it called? Bilingualism. Yeah, it's just very interesting that I'm seeing this quite often where I think of something and the words come up somewhere. Not just the number thing I'm seeing all the time. 33 is driving me crazy. 72 is driving me crazy. It's everywhere all the time. Yeah, the 8s and the 3s. But yeah, also certain phrases. And I understand that this can happen when you're on, when you've got a phone near you and you speak it. Anita was talking about this the other day, and I told her about my brother a few years ago in the car, even speaking Bulgarian, and yet the thing. So Google's obviously understanding Bulgarian. I find it quite funny if these speech engines don't exist. Like for example, when I go to translate, use the translator on Google and to listen to me in English, and then translate Slovenian. You spin it the other way around, and it won't listen to you in Slovenian. Yet she can talk on her phone, or my brother can speak in Bulgarian, and yet it can then start feeding you. So obviously the speech engine behind the scenes is working perfectly fine. The one that serves you isn't yet. Yeah. So just a bit of food for thought there on that one. This has been, you can look on YouTube, by the way, and see countless videos where people are showing that they're saying things in front of their phone, and their phone that shouldn't be harvesting their information is, and it's feeding whatever it is, metadata, wherever, or just straight data to the marketing companies so they can sell you crap that you don't need in most cases. All right, I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, I just want to let you know that I'm at this stage now. I don't want to rock the boat and get myself in trouble before I head offshore. It's because it's still quite a while away. I don't want to ruffle the feathers of the system, but for the most part, you choose your battles. But I'm not going to allow them to make me walk around with this stupid fucking thing over my face. It's bad enough that Anita needs to. I don't know why she's taking a job that she just wants to get out. So she's taking a job Didn't need to, but anyway. And she has to wear the stupid mask because she's around people. She has to get a COVID test every week. It's just dumb. It's again making you go through all the tests. So her sister had to go through this quarantine over in Cyprus. If she'd had a positive test before and a negative test now, well, look, just to get a positive test, you know what all you have to do? Tell them to run the PCR test more cycles. And as Carrie Mullis, the inventor of it, Carrie Mullis, sorry, the inventor of a PCR test, said, if you amplify anything enough, you can see anything and anything. You can get moon dust in your system. You know, if you amplify anything enough. So that is exactly what you need to do. If you don't want to take the vaccine, if you're a normal human being who doesn't want to be a lab rat, pay to be a lab rat. See, what they used to do is during medical testing, they would pay you money, and you sometimes. I've seen people with their heads swelling up and almost dying because they take part in this medical research when they first get to places like London. Well, when they're making you pay for the medical research now to be the lab rat. That's what's happening. They're just suckering us again and again and again. So yeah, don't be the lab rat. Don't pay to be a lab rat. At least if you're gonna take a vaccine, do it because you want to get paid a few grand. You know what I mean? Don't do it to allow government funds to be unlocked and dropped a few more pennies in the pocket of Pfizer and Moderna and these other companies out there. Okay, it's not going to do you any good. Only people I know who've had the vaccine all seem to have a few days of sickness or are really bad. But I don't know anyone who had no effects. And then at the end of the day, then you get their booster injection here and there, the next one up, next one up. It's just going to be an endless opportunity to infect us with something. I mean, the first vaccine might not have anything nefarious in it, the second one might not have, although they do, because we already know that if you watch the Dark Horse channel, Dark Horse podcast, you will see specialists, which is why YouTube keep on blocking their videos, because they're actually virologists and they're microbiologists. So YouTube's scared of these people because they really know their shit. And that's why they're being censored. Anyone who ever talks the truth, well, talking truth to power is a risk in itself, but you're going to get censored. The system is totally 100% controlled by a tiny minority, and there is also the majority idiocracy of the world. That's the people who support this minority, and they'll do anything the minority tell them to do, think anything they're told to think, and they will help the system control the rest of us who don't comply. Even if they do something and they work out later on it was wrong, the way human beings work. Like, let's say, for example, the government injected us all with AIDS or hepatitis C, right? And we've got terminal. Once these people found out that they actually had that, but the government was saying, right, we want everyone to be infected now, those people who are already infected would help the government infect the rest of us. It's human nature. Well, if I've got it, then you got to have it too. It's that mindset. Never mind, oh, if I made a mistake, it's my fault for being so gullible. They resent you for seeing through the bullshit. And instead of seeing it's this misdirection. Instead of actually seeing the culprit as the culprit, they'll see the person that they will look at the person causing their shame. So they'd rather let the culprit off if they can only apprehend or bring to justice affect one entity. It won't be the entity that fucked them over. It'll be the entity that's looking at them and going, you idiot. The one that's making them feel shame. Honestly, shame and ego, big things about how it affects the human condition. And you'll see a lot of people doing some horrendous things in life, abhorrent things, because of shame. It will lead them to do anything. Betray anyone, betray themselves. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Cheers.